everyone, Sherry Dunleavy, your Inspirationista here on National Day of Kindness. Now, how can I not post a live video when it's the National Day of Kindness, right? As a matter of fact, about 15 minutes ago, I just finished up a really cool podcast with J.A. Plockster. I'll tell you about that in just a little bit. But I finished up a wonderful podcast with him, and he asked me a question that I thought was kind of interesting that no one had ever asked me before. He said, how did you come to become this inspirationista? And I thought back, and I think it really started back in my days of radio. And I see Howard Monroe just passed by, so I don't know if he's stopping and listening or not. But when I first started in talk radio, quite frankly, I didn't know what the heck I was doing. I was just copying what everybody else was doing. And really, the intent, although it's really not spoken, but the intent is to get people fired up so they want to call in. So you take a controversial position on an issue, or you take a firm position on an issue, and you don't bend. You get people fired up so that they want to call in and give them a piece of your mind. Hi, Vern. How are you? So I did that for a long time. But the problem with that was I wasn't very good at doing that. And here's why. First of all, I realized that I was hurting people in some instances by the things that I was saying. And when I found out that I was hurting people, that hurt me. That's not who I am and who I want to be. The second thing was I listened to my listeners, and sometimes they could persuade me to change my mind. And then I watched something called The Secret. Remember when The Secret came out? The Secret came out and they were talking about the power of your thoughts. And I thought, my gosh, if your thoughts can have power, then your words must have even more power. And then to my horror, I realized that they were saying, how energy travels. And I'm thinking, oh my gosh, I have a microphone in front of my face. If I'm putting out negativity, how much further into the universe is this going? And I thought, I can't do this anymore. And so I really do think that the Inspirationista started back in my radio days, because I changed the whole trajectory of my show. I really did try to feature people who were doing really great things in the community and organizations that were doing great things. And if I would talk about a problem, I would talk about how we could be the solution, how we could find an answer or the possibilities to that problem. And so I think that's really where Inspirationista started. And so, that being said, I'm always trying to inspire people to be kind. I'm always trying to inspire people to become the best that they are supposed to be. And I'm always getting a lot of feedback from people who are saying that it's just too negative hanging out here on social media, which makes me dig in a little bit harder and say, you know what? I'm going to continue to bring positivity, because that's what this world needs. So, there's a saying, and I can't even remember who I attributed it to and where I first heard it. There's this thing in the world where we all want to be right. Okay? But we have a choice. We can either be right or we can have peace. And that's where kindness comes in. We all have our opinions. We all think we're right. And maybe you are. That really doesn't matter to me. What matters to me is, how do you treat people? If you can't come to a common ground, can you at least say, let's agree to disagree? But there are so many people that I find on social media that are willing to fight to the death over a concept or a political view that they're not even involved in. They're just sitting back in the stands watching it all happen, and yet they're the expert. And they would rather lose a friend or an acquaintance to be right rather than just be kind. We have the power. Our words have the power. And whether we are broadcasting them live through voice or we are typing them on our keyboard, that is moving into the universe. So what are you doing? Are you using that power for good? Or are you using that power for bad? Just something to think about on this National Day of Kindness. I would much rather have someone be kind than right. And I would much rather be kind than right. And there are many times in my life that I haven't always been that. But I like to think that I'm growing and I'm changing. And if I can, perhaps I can inspire you to also. So that's my message for you today. Let's be kind, people. It really doesn't matter. Let's just be kind. It's National Day of Kindness. All right? I love y'all, and I'll talk to you later.